Good evening. I'm Janet Rogalski, and on behalf of Dr. Andrew Pelletier and Andrea Lee, I'd like to welcome you to the temple this evening. Our opening song, Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Mi-Melech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boichem Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mi-Melech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruni Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mi-Melech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Mi-Melech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
I'd like to invite our congregational president, Joe Rosenberg, to give us some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
I am Joe Rosenberg, representing the Board of Trustees, and I would like to welcome you all to Temple this evening. The beam of flowers this evening are in loving memory of Louis Romanoff and Lester Steiner from Raleigh Romanoff. The Kiddush this evening is in loving memory of Arthur Frankel from Paul and Sharon Frankel and family. Happy Passover. For those who RSVP'd for the first Seder, enjoy the story of Passover and a delicious Passover meal with your Temple family. Dinner starts at 5:30 in the social hall. Celebrate Shabbat and the end of Passover on Saturday, April 19th at 10:30 a.m. We will have Yitzker and the names of our loved ones who have died since the last Passover will be read. We will be celebrating 50 years of Women in the Cantorate. The Cantors concert is April 25th to 27th. You don't want to miss this weekend. Tickets are still available and RSVP is required for each event. See the Temple Bulletin for details or call the Temple office. Thank you and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. You'll find the candle lighting service on page 120 and 121, and I'd like to invite Sue Hirsch to light our candles this evening.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love. Baruch
atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam,
asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'sivanu le'halik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
On page 127, and I want to apologize ahead of time, my allergies are a real mess, so I'm having voice problems. Page 127 will read responsively. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. On page 138, you'll find Lacha Dodi.
A few times here. This may be unfamiliar to you, so it'll be the one selection you may not know tonight, but allow this to be a nice meditation to welcome in Shabbat.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, pine Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pine Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat nechuven elcha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof mahazeh במחשבת תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעודדי, כי ברך ומיודי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני, עלייך נגילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please rise. Boi shalom. Ateret mahala, gam b'simcha u'vatzola, tochem uneh am segula. Shabbat nekabela.
The Chatzi Kaddish is on page 144.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemer haba Be'alam hadi varach dute v'hamlich machute B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayed kol bet Yisrael Bagala u'v'zman karib v'himeru Amen. Yeshmer haba mevorach le'alam ulal mehamaya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbah v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemed kudesham richu Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbekata v'nechemata damiran be'alma ve'imeru Amen.
Baruch Hu on page 146.
Baruch Hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed.
We read together on page 148 at the bottom. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, ruling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hamariv aravim. On page 150, Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat olam, Bet Yisrael, Amecha avta, Amcha avta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta, שוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בפרחך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה נגע יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. The Via Haftah is on page 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We read at the bottom of the page together. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohim, Emet. On page 158, Mi Chamocha.
מלכותך ראו פניך, בוקעים לפני משה ומרים. זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פר אדוני את יעקב, וגמלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We read at the bottom of the page responsively, "Who is like you, O God, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders?" Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. On page 160, our prayer for the evening. At the bottom of the page, we read together, "Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and rise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, hapuk zukat shalom aleinu, el kol amo Yisrael, Ba'al Yerushalayim." On page 162, Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, שבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובן, בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Please rise for the tefillah. And remember, actually for the last time this season, we add the winter inclusion in the tefillah.
Adonai, sefatai tiftach uvia gita hilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu v'himotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'oleh האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל העליון, גומר חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומשיח ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מקיים הכל את הרב דחושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. מקרקר חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש, שמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. On page 174, you'll find Ritzeh.
תמיד עבודת ישראל. ישראל עמך. אל קרוב
On page 177, we read at the top together, God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Ulecha Ne'eh Lehodot. On page 178, Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Hamcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol ha-shalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol ha-shalom. V'tov b'necha levarek et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Baruch atah Adonai, המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamvarech et amo Yisrael, Bashalom. We've reached the part in our service where we think about people who are in need of healing in body, mind, or spirit. In this tumultuous time, people often need healing. In our congregation this week, we're thinking of Judy Fox, Norm Rapino, Sarah Taub, and Dawn Zavala. If you have a name you would like to share, please feel free to do so now.
Dave Saltzman, Charlie Ditchman.
Jad Ziesler, Janet Dana. You'll find our song for healing, the Misha Berach, on page 371.
Of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelama, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
We'll take some time for silent reflection. Shalom v'imrama, Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh
Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Welcome to Shabbat Hagadol. What? You don't know what Shabbat Hagadol is? Don't worry, you will. Shabbat Hagadol is the great Sabbath. It's the Sabbath immediately preceding Passover. Is there some connection? Of course there is. There's always a connection. The question is, why is it great? And what's the connection to Passover? But first, this week's Torah portion is Tzav, Leviticus 6, 1 through 8. According to Rabbi Lenore Baum in her book, Torah Tutor for Contemporary Torah Study, it shares the root letter with the word mitzvah, a commandment. This seems significant in that this portion builds on the past few portions where people were commanded to build the tabernacle, the things necessary to dress it, the garments for the priests, and most significantly, in this portion, the specific sacrifices which the people are to bring to the temple. All are commandments. There were 5 types of sacrifices which the people of Israel were supposed to bring. They are, in fact, things to be brought by the priests, by the common people. Some were to be eaten, some were to be burned at the altar that was already created. Some were to be divided and some burned and some eaten. Some were to be brought by high-class people, some were not. It seems really complicated to me, at least as I was reading it. But one which connects to Passover is the sacrifice of mincha. It's the grain or meal offering. And this sacrifice is usually brought by priests, but sometimes it could be brought by people of modest means. It's to be prepared of fine flour, olive oil, and frankincense. Part of the sacrifice is to be burned at the altar, and part to be eaten by the Kohanim, or the priests. But, and it's a really big but, this particular sacrifice is to be baked quickly so that it does not rise. Sound like something you know? Guess it's going to be something you'll be eating a lot in the next week. Yep. But according to Rabbi Shimon Felix, there's more symbolism to eating unleavened bread and rejecting chametz during Passover than just a recreation of this particular group of people who had a need to leave, quote, in the wink of an eye. After the turnaround by Pharaoh, they couldn't take a chance. Rabbi Felix has said, why eat matzah? He suggests that leavening is seen as a symbol of appetite, gluttony, and desire. Not good traits. The matzah, on the other hand, is seen as not only the bread we ate because we had to, we left in a hurry, but also the bread of affliction itself, the bread of the destitute, the bread we ate as slaves in Egypt. Okay, maybe. In this nexus, eating the matzah is a way of identifying the poor, the oppressed, the downtrodden, and we identify with them when we do so. And we reject excess and luxury of the oppressor, Imperial Egypt, with all its decadence and its excess. A sinful, oppressive, inhuman Egypt, which enslaves and murders strangers in order to build itself magnificent monuments. Well, that's what we reject by shunning richer, leavened bread. According to Rabbi Felix, Torah is turning the revolution of Passover, in which the oppressors were punished and oppressed were freed, into an ongoing, permanent Jewish value. Maybe. Again, why Shabbat Hagadol, the great Sabbath? There are so many explanations that rabbis and scholars have been arguing about this, as only rabbis and scholars could since the 12th century. There are all kinds of explanations. One of them is that people used to come home late from the synagogue on Shabbat Hagadol because, and this is a because, it was customary to give an extra long sermon on Shabbat Hagadol. This is not that. But I would like to share with you a story from the book Seder Stories, which has been edited by Nancy Rips. Once upon a time, Nancy Rips was in Toledo as part of the authors that came for the Jewish Book Festival. And she collected a whole lot of stories from a variety of people that spoke to their experiences with Seders. This particular story was told to her by Louis Kemp. Louis Kemp is the person who owned the Kemp Seafood Factory and fisheries. But it's the most unusual Seder I've ever heard about. According to Louis Kemp, my favorite Seder was with Marlon Brando. You might remember him as Don Vito Corleone, Stanley Kowalski, or the eerie Colonel Walter Kurtz in Apocalypse Now. But I remember Marlon Brando as a mensch and a personal friend of the Jewish people when they needed it most. I got to know Marlon about 30 years ago through a mutual friend. His son Christian came to work for me in fisheries I owned in Alaska and Minnesota. Marlon impressed me as a dedicated parent. He would often call me to check up on his boy with all the concern of a Jewish mother. Was he eating enough? Did he get to work on time? Was he hanging out with the right people? Christian was a great kid. He worked hard, had a good attitude, and earned the respect of all of his co-workers. In the mid-1970s, when I would visit Los Angeles from my home in Minnesota, Marlon and I would get together. I was just starting to become increasingly involved in my religion, and he would tell me with great pride and satisfaction about his support of Israel even before it became a state. Marlon explained that in 1946, 2 years before Israel's achieved statehood, he desperately believed that survivors of the Holocaust deserved a place to go, where they could live free from oppression. True to form, Marlon put his money where his mouth was and donated all the proceeds from the play A Flag is Born to the Irgun, a Zionist political group, dedicated to the preservation of European Jewry and the establishment of the State of Israel. He continued these donations and charitable work for the entire 2-year run of this play. A people that fought so hard to survive needs and deserves its own land. Marlon also told me with great emotion that his success in theater and movies was largely due to the Jewish people in New York who befriended him and taught him. He warmly mentioned Stella Adler, the legendary acting coach who both taught him and housed him with her family when he was getting on his feet as an actor. He was especially proud of the fact that he could converse completely in Yiddish, which he learned living with her family. On one of my visits to Los Angeles, it was a time for Passover. I made plans to attend a Seder at a local synagogue with my sister. Marilyn called me that day and invited me to dinner, and I explained graciously that I had to decline because it was Passover and I was going to a Seder. Marilyn became audibly excited and said, "Passover, I've always wanted to attend a Seder. Can I come?" He had made me an offer I could not refuse. I told him it could be arranged, and I called the synagogue, adding one more to our list. A short time later, Marilyn called me back, excuse me, and asked if he could bring a friend. I said, sure, by all means, never thinking to ask his friend's name. I called the shul again. They were a little less patient this time, but begrudgingly told me they could squeeze in one more. This was it. That was absolutely the last person. They were sold out. Still later that day, I received a phone call from a childhood friend, and that person had become well known as a singer-songwriter. Being Jewish himself, and hearing I was going to a Seder, he asked if he and his wife could come. The shul was not happy, but they did. They did allow me to bring two more. I'll never forget the sight of our table at the synagogue. Marlon Brando was to my left, and sitting next to him was his guest. This is when Marlon was very involved with Native American causes, and he brought with him the noted Indian activist Dennis Banks of Wounded Knee fame. Banks dressed in full Indian regalia, buckskin tassels, long braids hanging down his back, and a headband on which there were many feathers. My childhood friend was Bob Dylan. So Bob Dylan sat to my right, joined by my wife, my sister, his wife, and other friends. At first, the Seder progressed normally, without anyone in the temple noticing anything out of the ordinary. After about 45 minutes, the rabbi figured out that ours was not your average Seder table. "Mr. Brando, would you do us the honor of reading from the Haggadah?" Marlon said it would be my pleasure. He smiled broadly, stood up, and delivered the passage as if he were reading Shakespeare on Broadway. Mouths fell open, eyes focused on the speaker with an intensity any rabbi would covet. When he was done, I think people actually were trying to decide whether they should applaud. Somewhat later, the rabbi approached another member of our table. "Mr. Dillon, would you do us the honor of singing?" The rabbi pulled out an acoustic guitar. I thought Bob would politely decline. Much to my surprise, he said yes, and performed an impromptu rendition of Blowing in the Wind to the stunned shul of about 300 Seder guests. The incongruity of a Seder, with Marlon Brando reading the Haggadah, followed by a Bob Dylan serenade, would have made for a good Fellini movie. Needless to say, everyone was both shocked and thrilled. The entire shul came by to shake hands. Marlon and Bob were very gracious. Just a couple of years ago, Marlon called me up in Minnesota. We kept in touch, but we didn't see each other all that often. "Louis Kemp, I've been thinking about you and the Seder that I attended. I want you to know I think about it to this very day." He continued to thank me and tell me of the special spiritual impact it had on him and how much he identified. He told me he was sending his 3 youngest children to a Jewish day school in Los Angeles. When I asked him why, he said, "Louis, don't you know that Jewish schools are the very best?" I could almost hear him smiling over the phone. So while your Seders may not be quite that exciting with other people, all of your tables will be wonderful. Passover does begin tomorrow at the conclusion of Shabbat, Shabbat Hagadol. I hope your holiday will be meaningful and great. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Pesach Shemeah. Okay, please turn to page 586 for the Aleinu. Fun story. Page 591. Please be seated. I'm at the very bottom of page 591. The Jewish idea of redemption compels us to imagine a perfect world, a world that has reached its full potential. Poetry asks the same of its language. Poetry at its best imagines a perfect language which can impart all the nuances, meanings, and music that it never quite achieves in our everyday speech. When understood well, poetry and redemption can help us remake our world. A brilliant line of poetry can place a new link in the chain of our thought and language, and the idea of redemption helps us to look beyond our lives toward a world of possibility. Our loved ones live in our broken hearts, and at times that brings some measure of healing. Their acts of kindness and generosity are the inheritance they leave behind. We feel their absence, but the beauty of their lives abides among us. As it is said, the name of one who has died shall not disappear. Our loved ones' names and their memories will endure among us. In our congregation this week, we have recent deaths within the last 30 days. Charlene Edelman, Bruce S. Feldman, Shirley Phyllis Letvin, and Norman Thal Jr. This week, we are remembering those the anniversary is whose death occurred. Dr. Herman Bamberger, Dr. Harry Boehm, Phyllis Bauer, Mickey Bierman, Regina Kronstein, Lucille Farber, Mary Farber, Robert Farber, Arthur Frankel, Betty B. Frost, Anne Furness, Jean Gilbert, Richard Goldberg, Louis B. Goldstein, Dr. Marvin C. Green, Frank S. Green, Louis Hatner, Ruth G. Hume, Billy Eiler, Alan Kaminsky, Libby Lashen, Marilyn Levine, Sophia Levison, Tina Lieber, Richard Philip Moore, Eileen Pelletier, Harriet Pollock, Oscar B. Ralph, Louis Robinson, Louis R. Romanoff, Samuel Russell, Rose Thal Smilak, Gladys Starsky, Lester M. Steiner, Matilda Stern, and Harvey Weinman. Are there other names that we should be adding to the list this evening?
Neil Boyer.
Any others? Okay. You'll find the Kaddish on page 598. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yutev yamlich malchuteh, b'chayechon v'yamechon, ufchaye dekol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imiru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei olmaya, yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar, v'yit halev, v'yit halal, shemei dekudashah berechu, la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran v'yoma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba v'shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May their memories always be for a blessing. Amen. Please be seated. Our closing song is Adon Olam.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Cho Yitzir Nivra Le'et Nasa B'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu Hove Ve'hu Yeh B'tivara Ve'hu Echad Ve'en Sheni Le'hamshil Lo Le'achmira Ve'li'reshit Ve'li'tachlit Ve'lo ha'oz ve'ha'misra Ve'hu Eli Ve'chagwali Ve'tzur Chevli Ve'tzara Ve'hu Nisi U'manos li Ve'nat kosi Be'yom Ekra Be'ado Hafkid Ruchi Be'et Yishan Ve'ha'ira Ve'im Ruchi Gevi'ati Adon Ali Ve'lo ira.
Shabbat Shalom. Please join
Shabbat
us in the
Shalom.
hall for Kiddush and the Motzi.